This is the Okeanos Explorer. Do we have anybody else on the telecom line?
Up, elbow down.
Hey, it's Amy Bowman at the ECC in Honolulu, and I am with Bruce Mundy.
Bruce Whoa! All right. Good morning to you, Amy, and good morning, Bruce.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning, but I'm not going to be able to stay very long because I just got back from my trip to the mainland. I have all sorts of wonderful administrative tasks to take care of today. I will try to drop in later, though.
So, Amy, I think I've got some rope in my office. Hey, Scott, good to hear you. Amy, I've got some rope in my office. Can you go up and get it and tie Bruce to a chair if that's possible?
I'm going to try and keep him here, but he has a bunch of stuff he has to do. So we're going to have to find some fish and get him down here.
Okay, we'll do our best. And good morning to you, Scott, too. And do we have anybody else? We got Bruce, Amy, and Scott so far?
Backing off a little ways.
Okay, so let's go ahead with the pre-dive because we're going to be on the bottom really soon. You should be seeing on feed 3 the dive site. Mashkor, do you want to get a quick briefing here?
Hi everyone, good morning. This is Mashkor. So for today's dive, we'll be diving in one of the seamounts, which is west of our previous dive site.
1150.
So this is the overall area. This is Johnston Atoll up here, where my mouse cursor is right now. And this was location of our last dive. And so today we'll be diving on this seamount. So currently you're looking at north up. So we will be diving on the northern side of this this feature, which is quite interesting. If you look at it, there is several types of volcanism, as Chris Kelly was explaining to me, has been observed.
Yeah, so what we think is going on here that we put in the dive plan as well is we think this sort of mountain that you're looking at right now is a result of secondary volcanism. That's my best guess, and that's what I've heard from John Smith and Jonathan Tree, who actually did this mapping aboard the Falcor. So we're hoping to get some good rocks, even though it's on the summit of a seamount. Most of the seamounts out here are geos, and so the summits are all composed really of manganese-crusted sediment and carbonate and things like this. We're hoping that we're actually going to see some pillow lava here that we could grab for them. This particular site was chosen because it's along the edge of an escarpment. You can see the landslide there, and you can see the debris right in the center of this sort of landslide fault area here. So that might produce some good upwelling, and we're hoping to see a lot of animals here on the east side. We're also shallower, and so this is going to be another one that Scott and Chris Ma are particularly interested in. Chris, maybe you want to say a few words about it.
Yeah, mainly, of course, in my endless quest for new and diverse forms of sea stars, I tend to notice that they occur in more prevalently in shallow waters, but there's a magic depth between 1,000 and 3,000 meters where we're starting to see some really unusual forms, and I think because of the terrain, there are things that I just haven't seen before, not even hints of. So looking forward to it today, where I'm sure well, there'll be plenty of new echinoderms to discover.
So the seamount is called Edmondson. We misspelled it. There's a D in there, Edmondson Seamount.
Hold you at 50.
Do we have any comments from any of you, Bruce or Scott or Amy, that you'd like to make before we get to the bottom?
Can you write in the nav log that we are going to turn D2 to starboard?
Just my comments would be kudos to the ROV crew for getting the vehicle back in the water. Sounds like it's been a difficult few days, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the bottom.
Yeah, so Scott, I think there's going to be, thank you for mentioning that, I think there's probably going to be news going around about what the ROV team achieved out here the last couple days. They literally were able to remove 3 kilometers of cable from the end of the main cable attaching the Ceros to the ship. and resplice in and get the cable back up and running in 2 days at sea.
Okay,
Normally, this is the type of repair that requires the ship returning to port, and they did it. And I think it's going to go out to the world how they accomplished this with pictures and everything. It's an amazing feat.
You want to come to a stop there?
Slowing to a stop.
And I will make our delta.
The cable is up on the fantail in a gigantic, huge loop that's all covered with plastic. The actual short was literally 3 kilometers up the wire, so it was pretty amazing. And maybe at some point during the dive, if there's an opportunity, they can tell you a little bit about what they did.
Going in auto depth. Start backing your way.
Wow, congratulations to all involved. Very impressive group of people out there.
Yeah, it's amazing to pull that off at sea.
I think I might have heard John Smith's voice there. Is that right?
That sounds good. You want to hold here?
Yep.
Good morning, John.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm also.
So, this is one of your babies here. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Seamount before we get down to the bottom? Because not only were you the one who mapped it, but you're also the one who's proposing a name for it.
No, I'm still trying to get control of the camera.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go ahead and throw
Yeah, so what do you
want
to know first, I guess?
What are you hoping to see when we get to the bottom here, John?
And I'm using your GUI here, so are you happy with that?
Well,
yeah, I think that'll work for now.
The little write-up and what you mentioned already is pretty much it. As far as,
may as well start here.
we suspect that this whole mound on top of the
Do you want to hold off on the turn as well?
Part of the edifice is secondary volcanism, kind of by the morphology and that it looks like it had gone through like a carbonate bank.
I could put the turn in and zero.
Only what's really unusual, I think you mentioned, is that this is very large.
Maybe not.
We also a series of smaller cones that we see coming through those through the bank top. So this is the one thing. It's just morphologically different, big, and one big mass. So we'd expect to see typical volcanic products, pillows and stuff. Maybe some more things that look like more of like a friable or explosive nature, perhaps. Who knows? We get there.
Yeah, so John, are you going to be able to help possibly guide a collection or two of rocks while we're down there? What I can do is I know you typically have the monitor in your office going while you're working on other stuff, but if we're looking for rocks or see something possible, I can kind of call you out if you have your audio a little bit open, and maybe you could join us and help guide that if you aren't able to be on the line the whole time.
Yeah, I'll have it up, and I usually have the audio on, maybe turned down a little bit, but I'll try and be available.
Okay.
I think Jonathan's around too, Jonathan Tree, so I'll maybe ping him to see if he's getting on the line.
Okay, great. We'll certainly do our best to get you a good rock, because I know it's really important. And in fact, I would say the geology is at least, if not more important than the biology that we're hoping to get at the site. So thanks very much. Any other comments?
Just a quick note that Chris will be doing an Exploratorium live interaction at 10:30. So I'll be taking the lead on science for the 30 minutes or so that will be in place. So I'm sure that's the time when we'll see the giant man-eating sponge emerge suddenly out of the rocks.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Go ahead, go pilot.
Yeah, so they're going to do that on feed 3, I believe. So they're not going to interfere with the main HD or the Sirius feed. So you can, everybody who's out there who's not interested in the Exploratorium thing will be able to see the dive. And Chris will be taking any requests from you folks as well while I'm doing this. So we're trying to make it as least impactful as possible. Just to let you oxygenophiles know, I'm looking at the CTD trace right now, and it looks like we actually hit the minimum at about 450 meters, so this is the shallowest yet. And it got down below 1 here. I'll look at the Sirius trace in a moment. But again, continued shoaling of the oxygen minimum as we move further south. In this case, not much further south than last dive, but a bit further south and to the west.
I'm going to start backing towards you. How do you feel about that?
So if there are no more comments, we'll go ahead and end this pre-dive call. And Chris and I will be standing by because we're going to hit the bottom pretty soon. And thank you very much for participating. And I sure hope we can find a fish before Bruce has to bail.
He makes me Nicky.
Yeah, you might want to change your wording to touch down softly on the bottom after the last few days, so they hit the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things I guess I'll mention as we're about to get to the bottom is that they had 8,000 meters of wire, and they had to cut off 3,000 meters, so the wire is now 5,000 meters. We didn't have any particularly deep dives planned for the monument, but this will be a factor if, as we continue on through the dives and get on some of those unmapped seamounts that we're going to have to take into consideration. We probably won't be able to do a really deep dive, but we might be able to get down around, deeper than the 2,000 for sure, 3,000 plus if there's interest in doing one at those depths.
Chris, do they have a plan for the next ROV cruise? Are they just going to use that 5,000 meter wire, or do they have a spare?
So they have a spare, John. It's in Rhode Island. There's a little bit of discussion about whether it's worth sending, trying to get that spare out here in time to get it on the ship before your cruise in September. But even so, Dan was saying they could potentially get down to 4,000, 4,500 meters. They're really not sure at this point. And so I think they should be able to cover most of the dive sites. I'm not sure what the depths are right off the top of my head that Casey is worked up. Scott, maybe if you're still on the line, you submitted a bunch of those dive plans for the musicians. Maybe you could remember if you had any really deep ones in there.
None of the sites that I submitted would be deeper than maybe 500 meters, so there's not any issues there.
Keep backing a little.
Okay. Well, John, we'll definitely let you know as we find out more about this. But that's the situation. But we are in the water and working well, as you can see.
And
yeah, it looks like you mapped. Guys mapped
a little turn here, I believe. Push out while I do it.
This one.
There I am.
The last couple days.
Yeah, and that's Mashcore and his group, which really been taken over and being super productive during this period where the ROV was down. Okay. And Mashcore is not here, but Nicola is here. And Nicola, you want to just say a couple words about the mapping you guys accomplished? No, she doesn't want to say a few words. Okay, we got 3 new previously unmapped seamounts finished. Okay, we've got a smaller one over to the east that was kind of in between some lines. Wow, that was quite a jelly.
It looked like Stygia Medusa.
Yeah, that was, sorry, got distracted. And then we got 2 more geos. They're kind of intermixed between the data you got on the Falcor, John, that you didn't prioritize on that cruise.
See you in tail cam.
And so they look they're really cool. The data was beautiful.
So I will.
And it looks like a lot of these are on some enormous platform or something. I don't know if you noticed that, but we were looking at it on the ship. Like they're not just isolated.
I just see the one right now. Yeah, that's like a huge platform. It looks like there's some small cones on the top, but I can't see it that close.
Right, there were some small cones, but not very many. And the one last night had hardly any cones at all on the top. It was a smaller seamount.
I just did, yeah.
You know, with more of a stellate shape, except for the summit that was flat. And it was pretty round. There wasn't really heavy-duty faulting on the top of it, except for a little bit on the northern side.
Okay, zeroing.
But yeah, so we got some good data while they were repairing the ROV.
Right. And I'll just keep.
Now, which way are we going to?
Well, the challenge for you will be to come up with names that don't refer to some toxic experiment on Johnston Atoll or some other controversial subject. Since I think I used about all the good ones.
Okay, that'll be the challenge. So yeah, maybe no nuclear seamount or something like that.
You come a little starboard, I'll come to port.
Try to keep that in check.
Yeah, that was Heidi's request.
Okay.
Come all the way.
All the way. So
you know, what's interesting is that there's volunteers on Johnston Atoll right now, and all the time. We actually restocked them back in 2015. You know, a lot of the activities that happened on Johnston Atoll or long in the past.
So you were still.
And we certainly have seen no evidence on these dives, even the ones right at the atoll, of any of what was happening above water back in the day when.
Good delta.
Sort of the Cold War days and World War II days.
Altitude is decreasing.
So nature recovers.
Should be seeing me pretty soon. There you go.
What's your name?
All right.
Okay, you can make your turn, and I will make mine.
Copy that. $240-ish.
Okay, I'll continue. I thought it was 225.
Oh, we can do 225.
Oh, anything's fine.
This is good here.
I'm at 235. Okay, I'm happy.
Okay. Oh, did you? You didn't move the lower swing arm back upward, did you?
No, I haven't touched it.
Okay, I will move that back upward.
Oh, from the light. Yeah, understood.
There we go. Okay, I'll leave hydraulics on for you. Okay. Let's come on down.
Following you up.
Pushing out. Got bottom in sight.
Great.
Still have an altitude of 22.
I have an altitude of only 20.
That's me.
Sort of. It's still kind of weird divisions here. I don't know if it'd be possible to get like a 0, 500, 1,000, and 1,500 if possible.
Push out a little here. Hold.
Yeah,
wait for you.
Sort of odd things right now.
All right, the seafloor is in view.
I'm looking at you at 7-0.
Copy.
Lost you in the Titan. Tether looks better in bubble cam.
This may be wishful thinking, but I almost think I see some pillow lavas down there in amongst some of the larger consolidated rock. It's probably wishful thinking, but sure would be great if we got into an area where we could grab a rock right off the bat.
Okay. Coming down, delta probably about 15.
That sounds good.
Speeding up.
I almost think that white dot down there is a starfish already.
Yeah, could be.
Could be a sponge base.
Well, it could be, but it could be a starfish.
It could be.
So you're flying in auto depth?
I'm not right now because I don't want to make the set point deeper than the bottom.
Both of you now have
but I will.
Yes. You know, Chris is a little bit jealous right now because we've got some pretty cool sponges the last couple of dives.
It's actually a good thing to
the one that we caught on the last dive, and I think
really
you got a bit of a look at it,
Z-Buzz.
because I know Asako said she was able to see it finally. That turned out not to be a Calcarean sponge, which is what we've had in the Hurl guide for years. And it turns out it was a hexactinellid, a very unusual hexactinellid that has a branching anastomosing type of structure, and it was covered with commensal zoanthids or anemones, much like Lefroyella. It was
very strange animal.
Yeah, Henry responded this morning, and he said that he was pretty sure it was a new species. He actually did the Tritodictiidae, which is the family we think it's in Systema perifera years ago. So he knows them pretty well.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the deep sea dive Okeanos Explorer with the ROV Deep Discoverer. We're currently investigating the Johnston Atoll unit of the Pacific Island Monument. We have a shoreside talent pool of many scientists who assist us with a lot of the scientific discoveries that we make here in the deep sea. Since we're not experts on every single aspect of deep sea animals, we have many experts on corals, sponges, and other animals. We were just joined by Sako Matsumoto from the Chiba Institute in Japan. And we're currently being assisted by several scientists from the mainland, including Scott France at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And a little while ago, we were just being talked to by Bruce Mundy at the Hawaiian Inauia Regional Center for NOAA.
Roger, pilot, go ahead.
Hey, we are set up on bottom and ready to continue this dive. I believe I heard Chris say something about starfish, but I've heard him say a lot of things about starfish.
There's a white circle to the left in the upper left of the screen that we saw coming down.
I got it.
And I wasn't sure if that was a sponge or a sea star.
We can go check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And pilot, I also think that we're in a pillow lava field. I'm hoping John Smith will chime in on this. They look like pillows to me, and if so, this might be an area where we could get a good rock, maybe one on the sediment areas.
Understood. We'll keep our eyes peeled.
Great, thank you. John, if you're out there listening, would you concur? They sure look like pillows to me as we were coming down. They're very heavily manganese crusted, but even right in front of us, I think I see some tubular structures.
Oh, yeah.
That could be pillows.
That's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah. He's going to want to look at that starfish. I think it is a starfish, possibly. You know, he would choke me if we tried to grab a rock before looking at this.
It's a sponge. I think it's a sponge base.
Is it a sponge base?
Not sure. It's the only other thing that would be that discolored, that would be mound shaped.
Sponge and starfish experts saying only two options are sponge and starfish.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it could be a fish. Maybe not.
A fish-shaped
yeah.
sponge base, maybe, but I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just kind of a discolored
I think you're right. It's
blob.
A dead base or something, but we'll find out in a second.
We can do a quick zoom. Go ahead. Stand by one video.
While you're zooming into this, just to alert you, there's a what looks like a Narella that went off screen to the right, upper right. And I'm not sure what the brown mass is, another dead sponge just in the background there.
Yeah, I see that, Scott. I didn't see the Narella, so thank you very much.
No,
she's all there.
It's a dead base.
Okay. Come on.
A little tunicate or something there, and you can see how crusted the rock is there. So, pilot, if we see a good rock in this area, again, I'm almost 99% sure these are pillow formations. Then it's got to have that girth again, kind of a thicker piece, but.
Copy that. Let me quick conversation with my co-pilot here.
I think Scott was directing us to that. Was that a colony on the right, Scott?
Yeah, I didn't see it. Sorry.
It just went out of view on the right side there.
Yeah, maybe we could take a look at that. Sorry, Scott. I'm in rock mode here.
Where there's one Norella, there's more, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Come, repeat your last watch, please. Sorry, we were conversing up here.
There's a colony of something over to the right.
Okay.
And was that John Smith? Was that you dialing in, John?
I see it.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right, so John,
This is John.
do any of these rocks look appealing to you? And would you concur that we're looking at some pillow formations now?
Like 8 meters. There's not a lot of currents.
Yeah, generally, mostly those are pillowed, and like you said, some level of manganese probably. I think they're all looking to be,
going to go much further
some version of a lava rock. So I think pretty much anything, you can get.
Now, are they still working on heading or?
So, John, what do you think of that after we look at the Norella, that one going off in the left lower corner that's very angular? Do you think that would fit the bill? And you'll see it in a moment if you're up in your office.
I think I see what
2070.
Copy. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. We're going to get this coral first, but just give you a heads up if that was a possibility. It's pretty close to where we are now.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's the same one, I'd probably be fine.
May I have you take my camera? Let's hold off on that.
Scott France identified this as a primnoid, possibly in the genus Norella. So I think
video. Just go ahead in.
I certainly would agree with that. And yes, indeed.
It may also be a sponge, kind of finger-like sponge tucked up behind the rock above it.
Yeah. So Scott, looks right on your ID here in Norella. You can actually see the polyps droop downward a little bit, and it could be something similar to Norella dichotoma. It has a sort of a look to that, but Norella for sure.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. This is a pretty common species that we see around Hawaii, and one of the ways that you just identified the polyps, but also the overall shape, that little bush branches coming off from that central point. And then they almost always have an ophiuroid brittle star wrapped in the branches in the center. So, Chris, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Oh, basically, this is one of the two major types of ophiuroids. This one's a snake star. These have sort of a fleshy tissue covering their skeleton, which gives them a lot more flexibility, and they're frequently found wrapped very closely around the branches of octocorals here in the deep sea and in shallow waters. They're generally commensal, which is to say they kind of have a cooperative relationship with the coral. They don't usually feed on them, as far as I know, but very rarely do you actually see these free-living. They're usually present on these corals. So I think, is this, are we good for this?
Let's come wide here, video.
Can we move on?
Yeah, they're coming wide. So, pilot, can we look at an angular rock that's to the lower left as you pull out?
Sure.
So he's just to the left of the frame right now. That one right there. What do you think about that one?
I'm not sure if
I
know which one quite yet.
He's to the left of the laser still, and he's in that sandy patch.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see where the down a little bit from the.
Be fine.
So he's bottom center right there. You're on him right now.
Got it. Yeah, let's go take a look. I think size-wise, it's okay.
Yeah, maybe we could get a closer look at this.
Yeah,
and
do you see the little crab there as
the
well?
one with the lasers on it. That looks good.
Yeah. So John Smith, who's a geologist, said that would be a good one if it's free.
Okay. Yeah, we can. I don't think I can get in there and nudge it, but we can poke it, see if it's free, and then if it is, grab it.
Sure, terrific. Thank you.
And did you take note of that crab squat lobster?
I think it's a squat lobster.
Yeah, copy.
Thank you.
I missed that. And then we maybe could have a look at the finger sponge thing that Scott had noticed too before we leave.
Okay, Dave.
Oh, I see him. He's down tucked in there.
Hiding in the little crevasse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% certain it was a sponge. I just saw the very bright white sort of finger-like structures. And did anyone mention the crab? I see a Galthiid crab stuck down there, squat lobster.
Yeah, we can. I think they're focusing on the rock right now, so.
But we can get that crab after.
Yeah, we can look at the crab.
Yeah, I'm just noting it's there, not asking for a close-up.
Yeah, let's
switch, and Dave's going to check out this rock for you.
Okay. So we're going to do a little musical chairs up front here to give Dave a chance to collect this rock for us. And that was Chris, who was pilot. Now he's on co-pilot. And we got Fernando on nav. And who else have we got? Bob over there on video. And Josh is assisting too. He's keeping an eye on the system, I think, making sure everything is working properly. To my left is Nicola Rodriguez, and she's helping with the data and the annotations and other stuff. So Scott, I have a better look at the dissolved oxygen profile from the Sirius, which is a little less noisy than the ROV CTD for whatever reason right now. And the actual dissolved minimum on the way down was about 450 meters, and it was something, it's under 1 for sure. Can't quite see what.
I had seen a reading as we were descending of 0.44. It's remarkably low. I don't know if that's real.
Yeah, I believe it is real, just looking at the graph. So we're noting that just because the oxygen is quite variable, as it appears, depending on where you are and what latitude you're at, so as well as longitude that you're at. So it's potentially an important environmental factor down here that's affecting the community structure at different depths.
I'd just like to confirm it's this one, right?
That's correct.
Great. Let me see if that's loose.
Come on, move. It moved.
It moved.
It moved.
I saw it. All right. Gonna open up.
Should we play the musical theme to Rocky now?
Oh God.
Or Joe the Volcano?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
Okay.
God. All right, Chris, you drew first blood this morning.
I got an igneous humor. Oh, first blood.
Yeah. The link was Sylvester Stallone, of course, but it was obscured.
Yes.
That's good. Never mind.
Copy.
Okay, we're off to a bad start.
There you go.
Yeah, it's fine.
There you go.
All right. So what else we got to mention as he's setting up to collect this rock? You did the general intro, right? This is a live broadcast from the Okeanos Explorer.
I did. I talked about our shoreside talent pool.
Okay.
I
so
think
you're
you
kind of
introduced
perched, so
the
just
front
keep
row.
in mind if you push off the bottom at all while you're grabbing, you might lose your toes.
We're on Edmondson Seamount.
And we've begun our dive at a depth of 1,260 meters. Let me think. What else? We've been gone for a day because of some technical difficulties overcome by our crackerjack engineering staff.
Copy. Looking good.
Again, for those of you who are new to the Okeanos cruises, we do like to grab a rock in addition to biological specimens, at least 1 to 2 rocks per dive, sometimes more, because they're so important, particularly out here in the Central Pacific where the ages of these seamounts is very poorly known. and which ones are related to each other. The only way the geologists such as John Smith, who's on the line, can ever have a chance of figuring that out is with a rock sample that they can do geochemistry on. So these are really, really important. They're just not grabbing these for ballast
Try to light it up
on the ROV. They're crucial specimens.
Okay, we'll get a little bit of video of this. Is that too close?
No, you're just...
Now we're going to do a little quick, can we zoom just a little bit more, pilot? We're doing a quick scan for commensals so we kind of know what might be coming up on the rock that we should be prepared for. Right now there could be little maps. There's several little tube-like structures there. I don't know whether those are, but that's something we'll keep an eye out for to see if they make it up. John, what do you think about this rock? It looks pretty nice to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks like a good one. Doesn't look like it's got an excessive coating of manganese on it. It looks like it came out of the middle of something at some point, out of the middle of an outcrop.
Yeah. Okay, it's a keeper. They're going to put it in the box.
Coming down for you.
Copy.
It's starting to shift a little.
I see that.
You're right.
Needn't even ask here whether Nicola's got it. She's already on it already. She's recording all the collection data. Again, just to make you aware, if you haven't been on some of the previous dives, every time we grab anything from the seafloor, there is a whole lot of data that gets acquired at the exact moment the thing is put in the box. Location, depth, oxygen, temperatures, what the identification is, field ID, you name it.
I think we can use
our
auto
that's
close.
what Nicola is doing right now next to me. Great. Thank you very much, pilot. Appreciate it.
No good?
That's all the way upward.
Okay.
Try to measure it with shelling.
No, I'll get it.
Pilot, before we leave here, would it be possible to do a quick zoom on that crab to lower center?
Sure, I'm still closing up boxes.
Yeah, I understand. Just giving you... heads up. And also, thanks very much to Mary Wickstein, who sent me an email last night. She's at Texas A&M.
What do you mean?
And she's already been looking at photos of the arthropods that we've imaged so far in this cruise and provided a list of identifications.
You follow me over?
So thanks very much for that, Mary. We really appreciate it.
So a lot of the work that we do at this depth, the first step is basically figuring out what we're looking at. And even though we're identifying a lot of general types of organisms and animals, we often depend on specialists called taxonomists to tell us more specifically what kinds of animals we're looking at. So I, for example, am a specialist taxonomist that works on sea stars, and I'm familiar with other related animals. And Mary Wickstein was is a taxonomist who works on crabs and other crustaceans. And many of the scientists who work with us on the talent pool are coral biologists and are familiar with different species of corals. And so this is the first step towards trying to characterize the many different kinds of animals and other forms that we recognize on the bottom of the seafloor.
Yes. Okay, I'm not going to be using them. Okay, I'm going to come in to look at this potential squat lobster.
You see he's probably about, he's going to slide down, but he's probably about 5 centimeters. Those two red dots are 10 centimeters apart. We use them for measuring things. They're, as most of you, if not all of you already know, they're absolutely of no harm to any of the animals or seafloor or anything down there. They're just spots of light. And so you can see that crab across is probably about 5 centimeters.
Video, can you come in on this?
It's a pretty fearless squat lobster. It doesn't seem to be moving.
Yeah, he doesn't think we see him. This is sort of a puzzling little guide. If I remember in the Okeanos guide,
Trying to come back to it.
off the top of my head, I should try to see what we've got this labeled on. I'm referring to the Okeanos online deepwater animal guide that you can take a look at yourselves if you go on the Okeanos website.
Chris, this is hard.
It's probably good enough, pilot.
Okay.
Whenever video's ready.
Video whenever you're ready. Okay.
Nav, could you bump me back down to 50 now that we're down here? Thank you.
Okay, looking up slope, we have some pretty rough terrain.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Pilot, do you want sonar at 30 meters?
Sure.
Can we take a quick look at this little frondulose thing in the center?
Co-pilot, are you happy with the game?
Sure. The lowest one?
Yeah, it looks like a branch.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The Watalos thing?
Frondulose.
Frondulose.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Video
Being fancy and taxonomic.
Big words.
Branchy. The branchy thing.
Oh, look at you. You spotted the second coral of the day.
Ah, look at me.
It's amazing.
And there's a worm too.
Yeah.
Would you like some?
So I think I've got a handle on what this coral is. I'm going to see if Scott or anyone else, Asako, might have another opinion on this. See if I'll wait for a moment till they get caught up.
I'm going to set my foot down.
Yeah, it's still waving around a bit for me, but it sure looks like a coralliid, maybe a hemicorallium or something.
Yeah, that would be my guess too, Scott.
Kind of looked like it had grooves in it that polychaetes might sit in, but
there was actually a polychaete just below it, I think.
I'm going to come back and get a better view of that.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, I saw that. That looked like one of those semi-pelagic polychaetes.
Ah,
so
okay.
Not the same type
Oh, not the same type. Okay.
With a coral colony.
Okay, video, let's try this. And co-pilot, we might need to change some lighting to get in here.
I'll work on it. See if I can give you a lighting assist here.
Oh, geez. I just saw Scott's email, event log entry just a few minutes ago. We may have a Sylvester Stallone competition going on today.
We'll see.
We're trying to get a little bit more light in there.
It doesn't seem to be doing anything. There you go.
Does that mean we get 7 rocks?
What was that, John? I think it was an attempt at another Stallone joke here, if I'm not mistaken.
Weren't there like 7 Rocky movies, so we should get 7 rocks?
I get where we're coming from. Yeah.
Okay, video, whenever you're happy, I'll come down to that worm.
Yeah, there's a nice worm.
Yeah.
It certainly looks like a young hemicorallium. Very difficult to go any further than genus on this group. And now we're looking at a polychaete worm of some kind.
That's it.
That's nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little far away.
Lots of nice paddles.
Stable.
So this is a segmented worm. The closest thing on the land you might think of is like an earthworm. The body is divided into repeated segments. They have sort of really well-developed little legs. In this case, they actually have little paddles on them, which, if it was encouraged, it would probably swim up into the water column. Looks like it has some very interesting adaptations for swimming. But it looks like it's sitting there for now, so I don't recognize it off the top of my head, but many of these worms we'll see today. So we're looking forward to another nice video of a bigger swimming worm that we saw the other day. That was hopefully you'll see soon.
Out.
We're done. Thank you.
Sponge in the background.
Yes. So we have.
I think we see this particular worm fairly regularly, and I wish I could remember if somebody has provided some family ID, but
yes, please,
I can't
pilot.
remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Come on in video.
It's a holothuroidian. It's a worm.
No.
What is it?
Sea cucumber, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it one of these big scale worms? Or is it, what is it? Sea cucumber? I don't
It's
know
a
what
big purple.
It's Hansidothuria, maybe?
I don't know. It doesn't have the fringe. It doesn't have the purple I'm used to seeing on it.
But it's a sea cucumber.
Yeah, I think it's a sea cucumber. You can see its gut there. Yeah, you can see the little sort of tentacular projections coming off of the body, but not much else.
That's full, I take it, video?
I'd put it as a tentative Hansidothuria just because of the reduced tubes on the back and the clear appearance. Synallactid, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah. That's the family Synallactidae. Hey, we're good. Thank you, pilot.
Come on out.
I thought that was a sponge.
So did I, actually.
Looked like one.
Really helps to be able to zoom in that tight.
Oh, yeah.
With the remarkable camera that's on this ROV.
Oh, yes. I've happily used the camera's zoom function to count very fine features on animals that we've seen before.
And then start on up the slope. Video come in on this in water.
What do we have here?
There.
A shrimp.
Shrimp.
A little shrimpy shrimp.
What type of shrimp that is?
We're losing it. Come on out.
I thought I saw shrimp on the Sea Scribe list the other day, but I keep missing it.
Oh, Chris. Looks like we have a nice whip or some. Oh, no, it's a sponge skeleton, I think. Over to the right.
No, that's a bamboo coral.
Oh, it is a bamboo coral.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I thought it was a.
There's something on it.
And there's something on it.
And there's something below it.
Ooh, oh. And there's a little coral at the base. I think that's a purple one.
What would you like first here?
Well, what's easiest? Maybe at the top, since that's the closest?
Sure.
Is there a Victor Gorgia in front of that?
I believe so.
We're going to get down to it, Scott. We're going to work our way down a little bit.
Okay, video. Actually, I'm going to back out a little bit, but you can come in. We're probably not going to be steady enough to come in very tight.
Initially strip the polyps off the top of this colony.
Yeah, I wonder if the
larva has settled there and has grown into this anemone, and you can see that
on it.
It looks like a suture line. That's actually the pedal disc of the anemone, what it would normally attach to a rock, kind of folded onto itself right around that skeleton.
Yeah, you can actually see the skeleton through it.
Skeleton.
Yeah.
Bamboo coral skeleton just below that. I'm not sure where they're. Oh, that looks like an octopus egg case, perhaps. There are a couple of eggs that are.
Is that what those are? I wasn't sure.
Above the polyps.
So, co-pilot,
yeah,
after
those two
done with these,
sort of
specimen,
round
would you like
bag-like
to
structures.
Get maybe like a 15-20 meter move going in 240.
It's the first guess, anyway.
Sure, Nav. Maybe a little south of that.
Huh. Weird.
See the big feature in my sonar?
Yep.
Yeah. I noticed just a second ago as we were moving down the colony, some of the polyps are withdrawn there may be
15 or
something else
20?
sitting on the coral at that
D2, I
point.
think it's about a little bit more than 20 right now.
Yep.
From you.
I guess I should identify. So we are looking at a bamboo coral. This is an octocoral. The past several
15.
dives, Chris has described these fairly well. It's a colony, so it's made up of a number of individuals that are connected to each other, all of which arose from a single egg, a single larva that settled and grew into this colony. And each of those has a ring of 8 tentacles capable of feeding, and they're all connected to one another so can exchange nutrients. And they are what secrete the skeleton that is growing on the unbranched one. So at least temporarily, the taxonomy would say that this would be in the genus Lepidisis.
But
you can see an anemone has settled on the top. It's a nice place to get up off the bottom where the currents are moving a little bit more quickly. The anemone and the coral it's living on, they're both cnidarians. They're both suspension feeders, so take advantage of food moving through the water column.
You said 230, 235.
Let's go down to the base pilot. I think we got this anemone pretty good. It's I'm pretty sure it's Actinoscyphia. I went ahead and punched that into the log. We could also look at the bamboo. I don't think anyone really commented on
move going. It's
what
going to be
type
range
of bamboo this was.
5 meters, bearing 235
Scott
at
just called
0
it
decimal 2.
Lepidisis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I missed that,
well, I'm saying, Chris, I'm saying Lepidisis as a general thing. All the unbranched bamboos would be called Lepidisis, but we didn't get a close enough look, or I wasn't paying enough attention to give a better ID that Chris Kelly would prefer. But before we go, if you could, I'm pretty sure there's a Victorgorgia or something about 2 feet in front of this tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's too late for that.
Yeah. We're zooming in on it now.
Got it.
Copy, Bridge. Thank you.
Some barnacles along there with it.
Yeah, so I would concur with Scott France's identification of Victor.
So this is a Victorgorgia. It's also an octocoral like the bamboo coral we just looked at, so it's also a colony made up of several polyps connected to one another. But they have very different makeups to their internal skeleton. So this one is more like a whole bunch of sand grains glued together, where the other one is more like solid bones, the bamboo coral. So there's a lot of different types of growth to these colonies, lots to be learned.
It's also purple, which is not something you see very often in deep-sea animals.
You can always
it's true. Oh, yeah, the barnacles. That's great.
Yeah.
Pedunculate barnacles.
So
this gives me an opportunity. Sorry, Chris, I was reading a paper earlier this week about these deep-sea barnacles, these pedunculate barnacles, which are basically related to the shrimp and the crabs, but they have settled and attached themselves to the bottom, and they can stick their legs out into the water to collect food. And these large ones that we see are almost always females, or at least hermaphrodites. The males are miniature dwarf structures that actually live just inside the openings and effectively just spend their lives fertilizing the female.
And pilot, maybe we could get a quick close-up on that bamboo coral, and then we can go ahead and be on our way and see if we can find some other stuff.
Oh, the feeding legs are emerging.
Oh, they're coming out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Let me know if you want me to take camera.
Do you remember what genus they were, Scott?
Well, these could be Alcochianum, but it's a scalpellid, I think. It's pretty safe.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. The camera captures the fine detail on the feeding legs very nicely. You can see all of the very finely pinnate legs. When I say pinnate, I mean the sort of really fine sort of hair-like structures that come off of the legs. When I say legs, I also sort of indicate that the animal is actually cemented sort of head down. And so what we're seeing is, so barnacles are crustaceans. They're related to crabs and such, and their body position is such that their legs are pointing out into the water, and their heads are cemented essentially to the bottom.
I think just the rotation would get you a good zoom.
An interesting thing, Chris, is to compare the barnacle to the coral. So they're both feeding out of the water column. They're both sticking out kind of net-like structures. The coral's tentacles,
Co-pilot,
the barnacles are
just
using legs.
Copy.
But the barnacles can be more active, so they can actually sweep their legs through the water column, whereas the corals are more passive, just kind of holding those tentacles up, waiting for something to intersect the tentacle.
And there's a similar appearance to the tentacles as well.
There you go.
Absolutely. You mean in terms of it being pinnate, having
Yes.
little side branches?
If you just hold that, you can go
So
up
Scott,
and down.
we're zooming in on
find where it
this
crosses.
bamboo coral, the unbranched bamboo coral, and you'll have a good view of it any second.
I mean, on tilt.
Doesn't have the really long needles characteristic of lepidisis, I think, but I'm going to wait for your appraisal.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, the name lepidisis. There are some interesting observations to make on this. I see there's these little wart-like structures that you can see running along the main axis at the base of the colony, and that's very interesting, and that may suggest that it's been harassed, and those are defensive structures that have a lot of the nematocysts with stinging cells in them. You're right, I don't see the long needles, but I am seeing every now and again reflection of light that shows me some of the sclerites. So when we go back and look at the video, we'll see what kind of an identification we can come up with. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So let's just go with acidity right now and leave it at that. Good.
Nice.
All right, pilot, we are on a sea star hunt. Chris has not been sleeping well. He's not eating well. He's just been doing very, very poorly because he is not getting his sea star fix so far. You know, I think he's going through withdrawal symptoms, frankly.
Chris, I'm devoted. I'm not a junkie.
Yeah.
Just guarantee.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
that's about par for the course lately.
we're chuckling a bit because twice already on this cruise, Chris has stepped out of the room and then suddenly a sea star appears after hardly any of them showed up.
You know what the funny thing about that too is that during all the years that I've been shoreside scientist on call, that's what happens then also. I'll watch all morning, nothing, and then I go home, I get on the bus, I get home, and they've seen 4 in an hour. It's just my thing, I guess.
It's Murphy's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Capping.
Beautiful. I always love these
beautiful
terrains.
pillows. Look at the way those pillows are coming downhill there right in front of us. So, pillow lava, again, many of you have heard us describe this over and over again, but the way lava actually emerges in deep water or in seawater, and particularly colder seawater, is kind of in sort of tube-like.
Yeah, looks like we are coming up on a sea cucumber, another one of these synallactids. So this is a sea cucumber. These are the same kinds of animals that you might recognize from shallow water habitats, maybe in your tropical reef, or if you live near an intertidal habitat. They're kind of long, fleshy tubes, and they like to sort of roam around feeding on sediment and mud and whatnot off the surface. And you can literally see that because the body is translucent, and that's what we're seeing in the gut is all of the sediment being fed in through the mouth and then extending down the intestine. The sediment contains lots of tasty organic material for the sea cucumber to digest, and it turns out that this is quite important, or these are significant contributors to the ecosystem in many ways because they process the microbial floras or faunas on the sediment and they also break up the sediment for bioturbation, which is to say other animals which burrow and bury themselves in the sediment. So sea cucumbers offer an important role, although they look quite unusual, to deep sea bottoms. And some of them even swim, as we will probably see today if we're lucky. Thank you. I think we can move on.
Well, it's an echinoderm, Chris, right?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I always love looking at echinoderms with, big, transparent viscera.